So everybody's like, why is Flux up? Why is Bitcoin up? Why is this up? Why is that? Everything is up because the CPI reports came in lower than 9%, guys. That's it. That's all it is. U.S. inflation slowed to 8.5% in July, and CPI report shows Bitcoin jumps. Crypto markets responded to positively after this slower than expected inflation reading, which takes some pressure off the Federal Reserve to continue to hike aggressively at the September meeting. U.S. inflation slowed last month, possibly strengthening a widely held narrative that the worst of the consumer price increases is behind the economy. Bitcoin jumped 2% and Ethereum 7% in the minutes after the report, signaling a relief on part of crypto traders that the Federal Reserve might be able to relax its aggressive approach to tightening monetary conditions. The consumer price index surged 8.5% in July on a year-over-year basis, though it was unchanged from the previous month, partly thanks to lower energy prices. A report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed the annual figure compared with an average estimate of 8.7% in a survey of economists by FactSet. Stripping out food and energy prices because of their strong volatility, core CPI remained unchanged at 5.9% over the past 12 months, slightly missing expectations of 6.1%. Most cryptocurrencies across the board declined on Tuesday in anticipation for the report, with Bitcoin dropping about 4% to 23,100 after rising above 24K on Monday. And this is another thing I wanted to point out because some people were also talking about Ergo and how Ergo's not really pumping. Ergo didn't have the decrease in price yesterday that the rest of the cryptocurrency market had. So technically it kind of just stayed right where it was at. And I think like that can be a little confusing, but why is that? It's because Ergo's not being traded as much. And that is because it's a smaller coin. So it didn't have the anticipation sell-off and it didn't have the buyback in. The good news about that for Ergo holders is that the Ergo holders are just holding it through no matter what at that point. Most cryptocurrencies across the board declined on Tuesday. Yep, so there we go. We got that. Quote, I think the market will continue to find confidence in the Fed staying on track with its proposed increase to the interest rates at the September meeting, and we will continue to see our relief rally pick up steam in the crypto market, said Howard Greenberg, a cryptocurrency educator at Prosper Trading Academy. Traders are now betting on a 65% chance that the Fed will hike the interest rates by 50 basis points in September, compared to 32% just one day ago, according to the CME FedWatch tool. Recently, traders had been seeing a 75 basis point hike as the likelier scenario after the jobs report last week showed that the economy is still in very good shape to sustain more rate hikes. Several central bankers have signaled that they will continue to tighten until they see inflation come down significantly. The Fed will be cheered by the news, especially the fact that core inflation was also lower than expected, said Richard Carter, head of fixed interest research at Quilter Cheviot, a UK-based investment management firm. They will still need to hike rates at their next meeting in September, but this reduces the risk of another 75 basis points move, and go forward, we might just see markets act a little calmer than they have to date. Now, obviously, the CPI is not really indicative of what's actually happening. We also are pulling out here. This is what's funny. When we talk about CPI and we talk about the core CPI as well, and then people will, they'll pull out for this one here, the food and energy prices. It's a little frustrating because everything that actually impacts the individual that is not extremely rich, like food and energy prices, being pulled out of that, and then that kind of being the number that people roll off of for their BPS hikes or whatever, means that it's really not an economy that's focused on the day-to-day average worker or average citizen, right? So we're just going to be pumping up also investments that enrich the people that already have a bunch of money. And that is kind of where you run into like a weird scenario where it just keeps filtering up to the top. And I don't know that it really helps anybody at the bottom that's still worried about filling up their gas tank to get to work. And it's extremely frustrating. Another thing about this is I'm not so sure that we're necessarily out of the woods yet as far as all of this goes. There's too much going on in the world to assume that this won't come back around to bite everybody, right? You have tensions in Taiwan and China. You have tensions, obviously, in Russia and Ukraine. These are all things that are going to impact the economy as well. And if we are being completely honest, when we look at what's happening right now with these numbers being reported and the timing for the elections are coming up. So they're going to want to, for their party, increase the, the performance or how good the performance of the economy looks. So when we were supposed to have, a 100 BPS hike, we had a 75 basis point hike. And I think that from my perspective, I'm not so sure I would take it just wholeheartedly, especially when we're looking at the markets, because there is that kind of nature of it being used to pump up, the economy right before an election. So we have these midterm elections coming up. I believe as far as like Democrats being in control, they want the economy to look good so that, of course, they get more votes. And that is kind of the unfortunate part on the U.S. politics side is it can kind of mask deeper rooted issues that are going on. And I do think that there are deeper rooted issues that are going on. So after the midterm elections is really when we're going to be seeing the impacts to the economy, in my humble opinion, not necessarily before, because you're going to get some of this artificial improvement of the economy, and these kind of reports that come out there maybe not exactly accurate, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not positive, but that's going to be either side too. The Republicans are going to boost the economy right before a midterm election, and so are the Democrats, right? That's the entire point of it. And the economy isn't doing as well because most of the job markets that we are looking at increasing right now have been part-time jobs, and that's because of the strain that the federal government has put on smaller businesses from a tax burden perspective. And then you end up not hiring people at full time because of the tax burden, right? So it's all kind of compounds. But if we're looking at the market itself, what you have here for the past 24 hours, let's go ahead and get into that. Celsius is at the top because it's getting that short squeeze. Lido, Phantom, Nexo, and Uniswap. I was looking for like the first proof of work coin, and it does appear to be Cadena at this point. So if you were looking for the proof of work coin that pumped the most in the past 24 hours post news, it does look like Cadena. Now, there are reports of Flux as well getting a good pump, so we can go ahead and take a look at that. And yes, it did. It's at 22% up. Is that the past 24 hours? Is that right? Anyways, Flux is up pretty high as well right now as far as its increase. Yeah. Boom. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.